Live from room 115, it's Miss Sanogo!
The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see, today, where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows? The old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkin on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkin cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks, and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count, to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his grovelous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop! Down slops the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the Swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the Truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the Truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate Truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those Truffula trees, all my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a Truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. "Mister," he said with a sawdusty sneeze, "I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs." He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, "What's that thing you've made out of my Truffula tuft?" "Look, Lorax," I said, "there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains or covers for bicycle seats." The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed." But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor silly guy, you never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Be quiet, if you please." I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, "Listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of Truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 Truffula trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before. And that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits, and happily lived eating Truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough Truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth, to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffed. He snargled, he sniffed. "Onceler," he cried with a cruffulous croak. "Onceler, you're making such smugglous smoke. My poor swami swans, why, they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat." "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough, they cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here." What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, let me say a few words about Gluppity-Glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making Gluppity-Glup also Sloppity-Slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my right, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more Truffula trees into thneeds, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last Truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So in no time my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left 'neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, sad backward glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a Truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the Truffula seeds, and Truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new Truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The end.
Hello, scientists! Yes, you? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You are a scientist because I'm willing to bet that you have looked at the world around you and questioned what you saw, heard, tasted, felt, and even smelled. This week, we are going to walk through how scientists find answers to their questions about the world, and maybe you can be inspired to do the same.
Thanks, Taki. It's springtime and the flowers are blooming. I went on a walk yesterday and observed how these flowers and other plants seem to just magically appear and bloom and grow overnight. But I know that's not necessarily true. Most of these plants all started off as tiny little seeds, and it took time for them to mature into plants. This led me to question, what do seeds need in order to sprout and grow into plants? I just talked you through the first 2 steps in the scientific method. The scientific method is a set of steps that scientists follow to study and learn about the world around them. The first step is observation. What do you notice happening around you? I noticed how quickly the flowers and plants in my neighborhood seemed to magically grow and bloom, even though they started their life cycle as tiny seeds. The second step is to ask a question about what you observed. I wondered how those seeds managed to sprout and grow into these beautiful plants. In other words, what do seeds need in order to grow? The third step is to create a hypothesis. That means making a guess using what you already know about the topic. My hypothesis is that I think seeds need air, water, and sunlight in order to grow. Now, for the fun part, let's set up a test or an experiment to see if my hypothesis is correct. You will have to plan your materials and your steps and be thoughtful about what you plan. For my materials, I started off with picking 3 different types of beans that you can find in the grocery store. I chose lima beans, pinto beans, and black beans. You might be wondering, hey, those are beans, not seeds. Yes, they are beans, and you might recognize them as food that humans eat. However, beans are seeds that eventually grow into flowering plants that will, in turn, produce more beans. Now, back to planning my experiment. I also needed Ziploc bags, water, paper towels, and tape for my experiment. Next, I planned my steps. First, I took a paper towel and folded it in half. I dampened it with water and placed it in the Ziploc bag. I am using a Ziploc bag so that I can clearly observe what happens to the beans over the next few days and possibly weeks. Next, I placed about 4 to 6 beans on top of the paper towel. I made sure to gently press the beans into place so that they wouldn't roll around. Finally, I firmly sealed the Ziploc bags. I repeated this process for the other 2 types of beans. Now, to really test my hypothesis that seeds need water, air, and sunlight to grow, I decided to change one part of my experiment. I would have a group of seeds in Ziploc bags that I would place on my window where they would be exposed to sunlight, and another group of seeds in Ziploc bags that I would place on my kitchen counter away from any sunlight. Because my hypothesis is that seeds also need sunlight to grow, I would expect that the seeds on the window would sprout much faster than the seeds on the counter. Now, we wait. I started this experiment 2 weeks ago, and it required a lot of careful observation. I took pictures every day of the 2 different groups of seeds, Group Sun and Group No Sun. Take a look at the pictures that I took over the course of the 2 weeks. What changes do you notice in each group? When you set up an experiment, make sure to write down or note your observations, like I did with my pictures. you will need your notes for the fifth step, which is analysis. What happened in this experiment? What were the results? For one thing, I realized from the pictures that I took that the group with no sun grew considerably faster than the group with sun. I thought about how this could be. That's when I realized, even though it has been sunny, the temperature outside is still cold at this time of year where I live. The windows where my seats were placed got really cold throughout the day, especially in the mornings and at night. The seeds in my kitchen, however, never had to experience this cold because it's usually pretty warm or at least room temperature in the kitchen. So, the seeds by the window might have gotten some sunlight, but their growth was slowed down because of the cold temperature. Likewise, my results show that the seeds in the kitchen thrived, even without sun, because they were exposed to a warmer temperature. And at last, the final step of the scientific method, drawing a conclusion. Was my hypothesis correct or incorrect? Well, I was wrong in part. Yes, seeds need water and air to grow, but sunlight? Not necessarily. What I learned from this experiment is that seeds need exposure to mild to warm temperatures in order to sprout. Cold temperatures can either kill or slow the rate of seed growth. For example, compare the growth of the black beans. The black beans from the sun group barely sprouted in comparison to the black beans in the no sun group. And my lima beans in the sun group didn't even sprout at all. Now, it's your turn, scientists. Try this experiment at home and practice following the scientific method as you go along. What do you observe happening around you? Do you maybe have a question that you want to find some answers to? Maybe you want to try the same experiment but change up some things. What else might affect the way seeds sprout and grow besides temperature? What happens if you use different seeds, like seeds from flowers or from fruit? Maybe you'll have a group of seeds that you bury in soil, and after a few days or weeks, dig up the sprouts to compare their growth with other seeds not in soil. I can't wait to hear all about what you discover. Do you have a super cool science experiment that you want featured on our show? Send me an email including any videos or pictures of your experiment. Remember to ask an adult for permission first and for help. Banana popsicles.
I don't think so.
Whoa, Taki, what's going on?
These banana pops are for sale. It's part of my store. So you're going to have to pay up if you want some of that deliciousness. Also, speaking of, doesn't the post-it question of the week have something to do with owning our own stores? Let's take a look. And no sneaking any more banana popsicles. I'm watching.
Last week's post-it question was, if you owned your own store, what items would you sell, or what services would you provide? Here's what you had to say.
Stop. Here we have puppies, we have toys, we have sets, I guess that's it. And we have baby food, as you see. We have Pops. And we have school food. Cocoa Puffs. Oh, who wouldn't like Oreos? And cranberries. Tons and tons of baby food. And that's all we have.
This is my coronavirus killer. It is a perfect time for it, and it can kill the coronavirus with one spray. It is made out of bleach and really hot boiling water, so it can generate, and you have to shake it before you can use it, so it can generate all that really hot water that will take all those little spikes off, these little spikes, so it won't hurt you, and it'll just be a giant ball of fat, round, just stuff. So, yeah, I think this is going to be what I'm going to provide in my store, this coronavirus killer.
Oh, hello, it's me again. I'm guarding my popsicles for Miss Sanogo. Let me know if you see her. All right, you know what time it is. Time for the Post-it question of the week. Bye-bye now.
This week's Post-it question is, invent a new ice cream flavor. What is it called? What ingredients are in it? Taki and I are getting hungry just thinking about your creations. Do you have an answer to this week's Post-it question? Send your answers to me. Ask an adult for permission. My email address is msanogo@cps.edu.
Just one more push. Yay! I did it! Hi there. I've been training really hard for my secret mission. Miss Sanogo is about to teach us 2 cool new workouts that can help us find Agent T-Rex. Ah! It's rolling away! Ah.
So I have an exercise that I think is kind of advanced, and I'm going to show you it right now. Put your legs together, spread your arms out a little bit, not too much. You do 3 at first, but then you start.
Hello, my name is Butter and I'm going to help Rowan do his organ video. Thank you, Butter. So, today I'm going to show you a leg workout on the organ. You have to pump here to make the noise. And here's a tune that I really like to play. So this is the lowest pitch, and this is the highest pitch. I'll show you the difference. And this one I like to put up because it gives the wah 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 sound. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Do you have a super fun exercise or workout activity that you want featured on our show? Ask an adult to help you record your exercise. Then, send your videos to msanogo@cps.edu. Taki and I can't wait to sweat it out with you. Hello, Taki? Come in. Can you hear me?
Shh, I'm undercover in an undisclosed location. I can't help you with the math problem of the week, I'm sorry. But I do need your help.
What is it, Taki?
Well, I need you to... And then you have to...
Taki, come back. Taki? Hello?
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Agent T-Rex was last located on Taki Island. Our data shows that he traveled a total distance of 230 miles. Use the map coming up next in this video to help Agent Taki find Agent T-Rex's location. This is the ancient map of Madagascar. Remember, Agent T-Rex was last located on Taki Island. If he traveled a total of 230 miles, where on this map could he be? Is he at Whale Watch Bay? In Starfish Cove? Maybe he's at Lookout Lighthouse. Help Agent Taki locate Agent T-Rex before time is up. You have 1 week, mathematicians, to accept your mission.
So I did the math problem, and when I put 37 plus 18, I got 55, and 55 plus 37 equals 92. So Taki has more than enough string, and the strings combined are 92. So in the question, Taki's string was 37 inches long. The white string was 18 more inches long. So I did 37 plus 18, 7 plus 8 is 15. So I put a 5, but then below that, I put like this tally mark. And to remind me of the extra 10, 3 plus 1 equals 4. But that extra 1, 5, and then I figured it out, it was 55.
Do you have a solution for our math problem of the week? Email me your response. And for a bonus challenge, is there more than one way to solve the problem? I can't wait to hear from you.
It's time for Talkie the Talking Triceratops time!
Wait, that's too long!
Triple T time!
Yay! Knock knock!
Who's there?
Bunny?
Bunny who?
Somebody's been eating my carrots! Knock knock!
Who's there?
4 eggs!
4 eggs who?
For example,